Scriptwriters Lab for 3 years, followed by Mumbai Mantra Cinerise screenwriting initiatives, we knew that the talent was out there. Through this contest, we have attempted to give an opportunity to every aspiring Indian scriptwriter with a story in their heart waiting to be. The second edition has already been announced, for which the applications are currently open. Not taking any more time, I would like to introduce the people behind this initiative and would like to invite on stage Rohit Khattar, Chairman, Sinistan Digital.
Thanks, Preet. First of all, thank you, all of you, for so patiently waiting. A lot of the production houses and studios have been here since 1 o'clock, listening to the pitches and then waiting for this function. We are very, very grateful. We're very grateful to our contestants, our winners who've traveled a long distance to be here at very short notice. We got to know about the actual date just a couple of weeks ago. So thank you very much. As she mentioned, we've had quite a journey. And in this journey, my partner in crime has been Anjum Rajabali. Anjum and I went to spend some time with Mr. Robert Redford at Park City in Sundance to see how screenwriting labs are actually curated and put together. It was quite an eye-opener for us. For the first 3 years, we brought in some of the greatest writers and directors from all across the world, and we were mentoring screenplays over 5 days. Then we thought we weren't reaching out enough, so we went across the country. Anjum did a lot of workshops trying to unearth talent. We realized the stories were there, but possibly the craft needed some honing. And even in this endeavor, we've realized that the great ideas and the craft needs to be developed, and that's something which we'll keep on expanding upon, because the jury's been very, very generous, and they've given us more time for next year. And I'd like to, in fact, one of the great desires that Sinistan has is to somehow get into the interiors of India. We have a remarkable gentleman here, Dineshji, who's got 40,000 stores all across the country in tier 4, tier 5 towns of India. It's the second largest chain after Subway sandwiches. And you know, we don't really celebrate the fact that he's actually managed to go to everybody's doors. And through that, we're actually taking this talent for not only screenwriting, but many other talent contests that we're about to announce, which we'll take to the rural masses. We'll also be able to actually begin exhibitions in some way and show films. But that's for another time. Right now, I'd like to just thank our jury members. Raju Hirani, unfortunately, this date, as I said, was very last-minute-ish, and he was already had planned to be overseas. I can't thank Juhi for being there for us. Amir, for Amir, this is a very, very tense and difficult time. He's been traveling quite a bit, but they've given us their time so generously. And it's not just the 5 final winners. It was about 8 screenplays that came in, and I'm going to let Anjum talk a little bit about this. And he will explain to you what the process was. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce the man who's literally the godfather of screenwriting in India. This is what he does. Other than he told me that I shouldn't say other than playing Kareena Kapoor's father. Recently in a film, I had no idea that he was also an actor. But Anjum, thank you so much again for being with us right from the beginning. May I please ask Anjum Rajabali, who's professor at FTII and at Whistling Woods in screenwriting, and our jury chairperson, to take over from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit. Good evening, all of you. It's really a pleasure and an honor to have all of you people here with us. Let me cut to the chase. It's an oft-repeated observation and a complaint that screenwriting has been a neglected craft of the film industry. But merely because it's been repeated so often doesn't make it invalid or untrue. We have suffered, our cinema has suffered on account of that the basic force which goes into the making of an engaging, impactful film, which is the script, if that itself we are foggy about, if that itself we are willing to dismiss, and if that itself we are not willing to hold as the central determinant of a good film, and are going to try and sort of rely on the props, on big stars, on great production values, on good looks, on costumes, on wonderful music, but if the screenplay doesn't work, none of this will work. So it is important for us to repeatedly take cognizance of this lack that historically we seem to have actually indulged in. Now this is where somebody like Sinestan and Rohit Khattar actually come in, because this conversation began with Rohit many years ago, more than a decade ago, that what is it, why is it that we are not able to compete internationally? Why is it that our cinema is not taken seriously on global platforms? Why is it that we don't get, Cannes winners and, Berlin winners and Venice winners, and why, or Oscar, for example, And of course, the whole analysis came up with only one answer, that it is important for us to develop our screenwriting talent in this country. Now, it's said that there aren't enough scriptwriters in this country. Well, it's true and not true. There aren't enough professionally developed screenwriters in this country, yes, but there is enough screenwriting talent available in this country. It is raw. It needs some hand-holding. It needs for them to develop their craft. It needs for them to learn a professional polish on that. And it is that lack, that putting in this guidance, putting in mentors, putting in this advice, doing a bit of hand-holding and encouraging people, talented people to take to screenwriting. This led to a series of initiatives that Rohit and I, in a way, sort of began. There was a script lab with Sundance, which is the most prestigious lab in the world. 3 years running, we held that. Then we held our lab on our own. And, of course, did several workshops, series of masterclasses across the country. And yet, we felt that we still need to take a step further. A lot of discussions took place at the Screenwriters Association, in fact, because we are engaged with the same problem, that we need to do something else, keep doing something more to make sure that there is a certain booster shot to be given to the community of aspiring screenwriters, to attract them towards it, to help them to develop it. And there came the simplest of ideas. Why don't we have a contest? Why don't we give some spectacular rewards? And I cannot thank Mr. Rohit Khattar enough. I know he feels embarrassed for me to even say this publicly, but we do have to acknowledge, the entire screenwriting community and the community of aspiring writers owes a debt of gratitude to Mr. Rohit Khattar and his team and his company for having agreed to this. It bears repetition that 50 lakh worth of prizes given away with no strings attached. There is no lien on anybody's copyright. There is no conditionality at all which is imposed on the participants. It is merely that if you write well, we will reward you with wonderful prizes. 25 lakh as the first prize. I haven't come across anywhere in the world any contest which just gives this away. Okay? And he agreed to do that. So, anyway, so this led to a very onerous task that yes, we had to announce, we had to publicize, we had to encourage writers from all over the country to participate in this, no matter whether they were sort of involved in some other profession, whether they were non-professional, whether they were merely housewives, workers. There were several people who merely they were driving cars, they were chauffeurs. All these people applied because they had stories to tell. India is the land of storytelling. And we had, as Sukhpreet said, 3,642 stories which were submitted. It was a huge task to go through them. All of us admit upfront, and I am the first person to state it here, that there is always a subjective element when it comes to judging stories. All our top nominees who are sitting here, you should know that those people who have not necessarily been able to reach this stage, it's not any significant or a serious comment on their efforts. It just so happened, okay, that somewhere or the other there was a certain lag. Somewhere perhaps collectively the jury felt, maybe not, maybe this. It's beyond a point. There is the X factor which is involved. Okay, we're very happy that you people are here, undoubtedly, and you deserve to be here. But that is not to convey any discouragement to those people who did not make it here, is what I'm trying to say. Even within you, when we announce the prizes, it's likely that some of you may feel disappointed, that I ought to have perhaps been up there. Or it doesn't matter. The fact is that you are here. It's a wonderful achievement in any case. So we had this onerous task of reading, and there were systems built in which were so arduous that we are still exhausted. I mean, it's been a year of this whole thing, and I'm completely exhausted. So stories, after that, 156 stories were selected, and we asked them to send us their screenplays. 126 people sent in their screenplays, which were read, reread, cross-read, cross-discussed, cross-checked several times to ensure that some modicum of objectivity at least was attempted to judge them, and there should be complete neutrality. So there was nobody knew whose names they were. The jury came to know the names of you people today, now, in the evening. That's when I revealed it to them. Nobody knew this at all. Okay, I didn't know it. No one knew this. Okay, so we tried to maintain that objectivity, and of course, 20 were selected. A team of 2 senior writers and myself went through those 20, came up with 8. Again, after cross-checking, and each one read the full number of scripts. And then 8 scripts were sent to Juhi, Amir, Raju, and I reread them. And finally, we have come to this decision of 5. We will see where it goes right now. Okay, you're holding your breath, as you should be, because this is a sensational achievement. Okay. So before I call upon Amir onto the stage, Rohit, one sort of unconditional and one deeply heartfelt, okay, word of thanks to you. And the fact is, there was a line in Sholay, which I have repeated earlier, and I will say it now. When the Thakur tells Veeru and Jay, after he's got them beaten up by his friends and by his people, to test whether he was right in calling them here, and he said, "Maine koi galati to nahi ki tumko bula ke." And as he goes away, Veeru says, "Ek galati zarur ki Thakur, tijori khol ke dikha di." So here I'm not referring to your treasury or your finance. I'm referring aapke dil ki tijori aapne khol ke dikha di. And you can be sure, I'm a screenwriter. We will exploit you. We will continue to do that. And I will say the same thing to the jury. Aapne bhi apne dil ki tijori khol ke dikha di humko. Ab hum aapko chhodenge nahi. Okay. I actually have to introduce Amir. I mean, all of you know who Amir is, but what I have to introduce about him is not merely his canniness or his astuteness at being able to pick scripts well, which he has done. I mean, he's known for that. I mean, his whole concentration is always on the script, and if the script doesn't work, no matter how big the director is, he never takes on that project. Okay, nothing else matters to him if the script doesn't work. And yet I also have to tell you that he's been a writer. He's written several scripts, I mean, co-written, but he's contributed full drafts to Jo Jita Wahi Sikandar, Hum Hai Rahi Pyar Ke, with Robin. There was a third one. QSQT, of course. QSQT is what. So these are, I mean, and the point is that I worked with him on 2 films. One, unfortunately, didn't get made because he was doing something else, which is salute. But in Gulam, I mean, I wrote 21 drafts. Okay, and each one of those drafts, he was happy to discuss each one of them. And it was an arduous discussion, but the fact is that I also could not come away without sort of really the admiration, not just for his canniness, not just for his intelligence in the way in which he was able to analyze and respond to scripts, but also the tenacity with which, that conviction which he hung on to. And I realized that this is what makes an achiever. So I just wanted to sort of underline that it has actually been, I mean, Amir has been a person who has all along in his career been involved with screenwriting, and he's been one of our greatest supporters. Can't thank you enough, Amir. Please, again, deeply heartfelt sense of gratitude towards you, and I invite you to the stage, please. And I request you to please share your thoughts about the contest. A few words, please.